He's fantastic here in Australia. That's why people don't want to go home. They want to stay here. But it's like Australians never understand that.
Because I think some people get to their 40s and they think, I'm middle-aged now. I'm too old for that. I'm never going to say that in my life.
They want a ditadura back because when it's a ditadura, it was a law and order. Everything was straightforward. Everything was la la la.
It's having a cultural moment right now.
3, 2, 1.
Começamos mais um PodHBE, obrigado você novamente, terceiro episódio dessa temporada que tá me vendo aqui. E hoje o podcast tá muito especial porque a gente vai falar inglês. Ih, polêmica, a gente vai se entender? Não sei, vamos testar esses 9 anos? Hoje vai ser aquele teste que a gente vai decidir se eu tô realmente falando o idioma ou o idioma tá falando por mim. Pesado, né? Bom, muito obrigado a vocês que estão assistindo, estão me ouvindo e tudo mais. Já manda esse podcast para quem precisa ouvir. E também para quem vai fazer aquela viagem para a América do Sul. Pois é. O nosso podcast hoje vai ser em inglês, então se você está me ouvindo no Spotify, infelizmente, se você não está com inglesão, aquele inglês babado, você não vai me entender muito, porque a gente vai manter isso até o final. Porque o nosso convidado não fala português. E tem... só que se você for no YouTube, temos lá legendas em português, né? Você vai lá no configurações, coloca a legenda lá para traduzir, aí você consegue ler a legenda lá. Beleza? Okay, the podcast today is going to be in English. Thank you so much for watching us. And my special guest, he's been here... How long you been here in Australia?
14 years.
40 years, my age. Well done. So he's a journalist from BBC. He's a writer. I read his book. Well, and we were talking about this in the car. And he said, did you? I said, yes, I told you. And he said, why? I said, what? Why? You wrote a book.
Twice. You read it twice.
Because it's funny, because his book was, when he released, I was in a different perspective. When I read again the book, it was really nice because I catch up on new things and one the first time, which is good. I love it. Honestly, I like it. And he's been a South American for almost 2 years, like to traveling, living, everything there. So that's the reason I invite him, because I want to see what about his experience about South America, because everybody, it's a dream about South America, which is a dream, honestly. It's a very fun place. And, people love South Americans, love Brazilians, like just Americans, not just Brazilians, but love Latinos, love Latinas. But it's how is living there, how is living the daily basis there. That's the reason I invited this guest. He's a very special person. Welcome, Gary Nunn.
Mucho obrigado.
You started this way. Mucho obrigado. And English. No,
Portuguese.
Portuñol.
Yeah, that's all I can say in Portuguese, I'm afraid.
Yeah, you are? Why?
Well, I can speak some Spanish now, but I didn't learn Portuguese while I was over there. I just learned Spanish.
Yeah, of course. So how long you been in South America?
So I was in South America for nearly 2 years.
Okay.
I British originally, have lived in Sydney, Australia for 14 years. And I decided to move to South America during COVID. So as we were in lockdown and we were all shut in our rooms and we had lots of time to think about the things that we hadn't done in our life that was on our bucket list and that we'd been putting off. And I was, thinking about all the things that if we were to go through another pandemic in the world in our lifetime, as I think we probably will in our lifetime, probably go through one other. Yeah. I was thinking, right, if this comes around again when I'm like 70 or 80, what are the things that I'm going to wish that I'd have done in the intervening years? And so I'd never lived on my own. I'd only lived with like a flatmate or flatmates. Actually, I used to live in a gay house share in London. So, where there were 4 of us and we were all called Gary or Gareth. So it was gay Gary, gay Gareth, and gay Polish Gary. And so currently I have a flatmate who I live with in Sydney. I've lived with him for nearly 14 years now. So I'd never lived on my own. I'd never lived in a foreign speaking country. So like moving to Sydney felt like a massive thing when I was 29 years old. It felt like such a big life change. But I was like, I've never lived in a foreign speaking country, and I wanted to learn Spanish. Because in UK at the time when I was growing up, we only learnt French in schools, and I think it's way better to learn Spanish.
Of course, Spanish is universal, like English. So you go for many countries that speak in Spanish, so which is amazing.
Yeah,
but it's you've been in 3 countries in South America.
2.
So
I lived in 2 countries.
Okay.
But I visited many more. So I lived, when I was sitting in lockdown, I was like, right, I want to live in, so all of the living in South America ticked off a lot of those boxes. And I'd been watching Evita. I'd been watching the film.
Evita pero.
I've been watching the film Evita con Madonna, with Madonna, and the musical, which I love. And in that musical, there's a song called Buenos Aires. What's new, Buenos Aires? And there's these lyrics in the song that go, fill me up with your heat, with your dirt, with your noise, overdo me. Let me dance to your beat, make it loud, let it hurt, run it through me. And those lyrics were like, I want to live there. Like, I want to live in that buzzy city. Mm-hmm. Well, that was about Buenos Aires in the 20s. It was not Buenos Aires now. It is still very buzzy, but like, it's a different city, because Argentina used to be the richest country in the world.
Yeah.
And in the last 100 years, when I lived there, it had the highest inflation in the world. So it's such a change. And that to me was really interesting, that transition and that faded glory. And so I was really drawn to the country and to... I think Evita, I joke about, the only reason I moved there was because I've been watching Evita with Madonna. It's also because I like Latino men. Mm-hmm. But and I like big cities, and everyone who'd ever been to Buenos Aires said to me, it's an extraordinary city. You know, it's like unique in many ways. And I was so intrigued, and I knew that was where I wanted. You know, when you get that feeling in your gut, and there was all the rational reasons for going, but I was like, I just need to go there. That's where I want to be. Like, I had this feeling in my gut, like, this is where I need to be in my life right now. So yeah, I didn't go immediately after COVID. I sort of like wrapped up a few of my affairs here. Didn't go until 2023. And went home to the UK first, lived in London for 6 months, and then went to Buenos Aires from London. And so, yeah, I often joke about watching Evita with Madonna. I mean, it's an amazing musical. Like, if you ever get a chance to see it on stage or screen, it's the only film Madonna's ever been any good in. And I say that as a big Madonna fan.
Very polemic.
Like, I'm the biggest Madonna fan. I know everything about her career, but she's not the best actress. Yeah. But in this, she's extraordinary, and she was robbed of the Oscar. Anyway, I think, personally.
Yeah.
Patti LuPone says she's dead behind the eyes in that movie, but what does she know about musicals? Anyway, and so I think Evita, joking aside, I think Evita is a really accessible entry point into Argentinian politics, culture, and history. Yeah. And so you learn about Perón, and you learn about Peronism, which has like loomed over the country ever since, still does today. There are 2 types of Argentinians. There's Peronists and non-Peronists. And even within Peronism, there's like divides. And so I was really drawn to learning more about, I just wanted to go there, and it was almost like doing a PhD in Argentina. Mm-hmm. I was like absorbing everything. Films. I learned who Borges was. You know, still need to read his books, but like it's on my list. You know, language, culture, and so it was like doing a course. And I didn't know a single person there, not one. And when I went there, a few people get in touch and say, my best friend's second cousin has an auntie who lives there, and you should, like, I'll give her your, yeah. And I was like, it's really kind of you to offer, but I don't want any of that. I want the opportunity to recreate myself and my life. And so there was something in me that needed to go somewhere completely different from Sydney. And I can go into why if you want.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Oh, look, don't worry about it. I'm following up.
Yeah.
So the one thing I'm going to ask you about Buenos Aires, when you moved to Buenos Aires, did you feel like, okay, in the first month, like, okay, I did the wrong choice to move here. This is not good. I put all my efforts to come here to try to learn a little bit of Spanish, and then it's not the same. Did you feel like, okay, I failed, should I come back?
Yes, I did feel like that. And But when I went there, I was I'm 43 now. So when I went there, I was 41. I just turned 41. I had my 41st birthday with my mum and my sister in London, and then a couple of days later I went, and I wanted to go there for Orgullo, for Gay Pride, which is on the first weekend of November. And so I planned my journey like between my birthday and Orgullo. I wanted to go to Gay Pride, and from so I'd got my yellow fever vaccination, and I had a really bad reaction to my yellow fever vaccination. I was ill in bed for my first few days in Buenos Aires. It was like having the flu. Yeah. So that was, and I couldn't figure out why at first. And then I realized and looked it up, and I had all of the symptoms of like bad reaction to the vaccination, but I needed the vaccination. So, you know, it's one of those things. And then I remember feeling really just vulnerable. Yeah. But I knew that because I was 41, it was different from that feeling when I was 29. When I was 29, there might have been a big part of me that wanted to go home. But at 41, there was absolutely no way I was going to. I knew I was absolutely determined to make it work. And I knew that feeling vulnerable is one of the reasons that I went. Because living in an English-speaking country, moving to an English-speaking country, the biggest barrier is always language. I'm a journalist and I'm a writer, so I work with words. Words have never been something that I've struggled with. I can talk to anyone about anything in any party, in any room, and in English. Yeah. And so, and that's not braggadocio. That's just like, I mean, I'm pretty bad at every single other part of life. Like I can't drive, I'm a terrible cook, I can't do DIY, common sense often eludes me, I'm really clumsy, like I'm not very good at like many things in life, but I can talk and I can write and I can listen. And
your book is amazing. You should be proud.
Thank you. Yeah. And so in English, I can do so much of my identity and personality comes from words and being able to communicate and storytelling. And so I was interested as almost like a social experiment about who am I when that is all taken away from me. Yeah. There are people here that can't even speak English. The main language is English. And so when all of that is like taken away from me, I knew that that's the point at which I would become vulnerable, very vulnerable. And I was interested in that vulnerability because that's when you grow. Yeah. You don't grow when things are safe and when they feel good and when they feel comfortable. And so I was interested in getting out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And what do you feel? I'll cut you because otherwise you go and I lose myself. 100%. You have to cut me. I understood how you work. I understood how he works. Okay. So sorry, guys. But how do your family how did your family think and friends say about your trip in this situation now? And they say like, are you kidding, mate? You're going to South America, stay all this period, and it's a dangerous. I have bad stories. Did you have any kind of this feeling? Oh yeah. From my mum. Why there? Why do you want to go there? And then when I explained it and told her about Evita and wanted to learn Spanish, and she kind of got Argentina. She didn't get why I wanted to move to Colombia because it's next level in terms of safety and danger. And so like that was like because I went to Argentina initially. I was going to live in Buenos Aires for like maybe 3 months and then 6 months if it goes well. I ended up living there for 18 months, a year and a half. And then after that, I went to Colombia and I lived in Medellin for 4 months. Okay, between Argentina and Colombia, which one is better? So... polemic, I know. I would say if you have 6 months, go and live in Buenos Aires. If you have 1 week, go and visit Medellin. Okay. Buenos Aires takes 6 months to like get under the skin. It's huge and it's full of surprises. Medellin is an extraordinary city to visit for a week because you'd be able to visit like Comuna 13 and places which is like a favela like shanty town set into the hillside that's been open to tourists with lots of art and sculpture, and the residents of the comuna have used their creativity to lift themselves out of poverty, and they're making money from the tourists that come and watch their breakdancing and look at and buy their art, and it's an amazing place, and one of the only like favela-like shantytown slums that have done this in the world. So and it's the most visited tourist attraction in Medellin right now, and I'd never heard of it before I went to South America.
Did you go for favela? No.
In Brazil?
No, because they have favelas in Colombia as well.
Yeah, so this is like a favela.
Yeah, did you go there?
Yeah.
Yeah, how was your... Okay, how was your feeling and why did you go?
Well, you can only go to Comuna 13 because that's the Comuna 13 is the Comuna 13 is the only one that has opened itself up. It's got it's accessible. It's got escalators. It's in the mountainside, a bit like Rio's favelas, and it's deliberately saying, "Come visit us." It's the only favela-like slum that you can visit alone at night in the world safely, and
really?
I did.
Wow.
Yeah, I went at night on my own, and I went there also
by yourself,
by myself. Wow. And I also went there on a guided tour during the day first, on like the Tuesday, and by a Thursday I was there at night on my own. So on the Tuesday I asked the tour guide who lives in the comuna, and his family live in the comuna. I asked him if it was safe, and he said yes, but you could not do it in any other comuna in Colombia. So I went back and went there by myself at night. Still like very different from anywhere else in the world. Like,
absolutely. I never go for myself. And if some people say it's safe, so to do, sorry, but I'm not going. You're very brave. You're better than me.
You're stupid. I'm just like insatiably curious.
You used to be the statistic, isn't it? They say, South America, don't go. Oh my gosh.
Buenos Aires has also like shantytown slums.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, and Villa 31, slum 31. I accidentally walked through there, and
it wasn't too pleasant.
That's like it's spicy.
Yeah. I can imagine. So, was the South America different from what the media showed to you, or no? Because sometimes, for example, South America is in a topic, and it's in a target. Like whole South America, everybody's going there. Say it's cheap, the food is delicious. You can go for parties, all this stuff, and blah 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 blah. But I feel sometimes the tourism is showing so much that's safe, so to do, and you can go. You don't need to learn anything. You don't need to, a guide and anything like that. You just go and book it, blah blah blah. But in the first week, people walking the cell phone, it's bang, it's gone. So it's like, people carrying a so expensive camera here, which is like 6-7 times more expensive there. So they go there, bang. Rob it again, or if it's something happened more like a more violent situation in the situation. But do you feel like the media, when you were watching sometimes in telly, because we have the World Game Brazil in 2016, and you have the World Cup in 2014, you have the Olympic Games in 2016. So Brazil was showing up like, okay, we are happy, or like many of the South America, we say, we are happy, we're capable to receive you guys. So when you arrived there, or when you were searching for, because you're a journalist, so you're searching for many things so easy, you catching up the points. Did you feel like when you go to South America, say like, oh my gosh, it's not 100% real what they are saying?
There's not an awful lot of depictions in the media of South America, like certainly not diverse ones. Like we're so focused on North America.
Okay.
We're so focused on North America and Trump, and he's such an oxygen thief, and he gobbles up so many of the headlines that it distracts from some of the really interesting stuff that's happening. And then suddenly, when you decide you're going to go somewhere like Buenos Aires or Argentina, suddenly you start seeing it everywhere, and it's not that it's being reported more, it's just that you're much more, I'm paying more attention. So I think I didn't pay much, I saw it as somewhere that was a bit over there before, and I perhaps didn't pay too much attention to media reports because it just felt so exotic and so other. And then when I knew I was going to Argentina, I started leaning in and being a bit more aware of it. Obviously, danger and safety are the first things that everyone thinks about. And yes, you do have to think about those things, but there's way more to South America than just that. But I would say before I went to South America, I thought I was streetwise because I'd lived in London and like, well, Sydney, you don't really need to be streetwise. It's quite safe here. But I was not streetwise at all. I thought I was, and I was not. I was completely naive. And I really thought that I was like,
Yeah,
it was a really
I'm local. Yeah.
it was such a steep learning curve for me, and I learned the hard way. Everything that could be stolen was stolen. My bike, my money, my wallet, my phone,
My goodness.
my dignity, everything. So anyway, and then Argentina. I mean, I like politics, so I was there during the election when the Peronist candidate was voted out, and Javier Milei was voted in, and he was, it felt like a really interesting election because he is Trump's lapdog. He's like, the eyes of the world are kind of like on him because he's a radical right wing guy. He was coming in saying he was going to cut all of these government departments. So I reported on the election as a journalist, and then I got really interested in Argentinian politics and culture and history and society. And now I write a regular column for a UK magazine all about Argentina and Colombia, and I learned a lot about Milei. Milei obviously got voted in, and when I went to Argentina, it had the highest inflation in the world. It was 193%.
It's ridiculous.
When I was there, here in Australia, it's 4%. In the UK, I think it's about 3 or 4%. And so that, for comparison, and so that in itself is interesting because it changes the whole way that you live and get money and use money, and and prices change daily, hourly, sometimes because the inflation was so high. But it was kind of exciting for me, and I feel awful almost saying that because there was a lot of poverty and there was a lot of like people struggling. But coming in as an observer, I mean, I lived in it, but like it was almost like as a journalist, it was just really interesting because it's like this is world leading inflation in terms of like the worst country in the world to live in for. Knowing how to budget, knowing what money, like my rent when I got to Buenos Aires was $430 and then it went up
Per month. Yeah.
And then it went up to 500 and then 550 and then 600 and it was going up. And then I ended up doing a deal with my estate agent and paying her after many very heated arguments.
Because there is no contract?
We did have a contract, but like I was just like, if I re-sign and pay you a bit more, we freeze my rent.
Okay.
And yeah, she did.
So we can say this inflation was your biggest shock in South America?
No, actually, it was. I thought it would be, but no. You know what the biggest shock was in Argentina? The biggest culture shock by far was how late they do everything. Okay. So in Sydney, I think Sydney's probably one of the earliest to rise cities in the world. Everyone is up at like fucking. Sorry.
Don't worry.
Excuse my language. No, everyone.
Don't worry. I say many bad things. So don't worry.
So everyone's up very early, and the first exercise of the first exercise class of the day in Sydney is often like 6 a.m., 5 a.m. And so the guy that I was kind of like seeing in Buenos Aires didn't believe me. He was just like he would come round to my house. I'd see him like. He'd cook for me or I'd cook for him. Normally he'd cook for me because I hate cooking, I told you. But he would cook for me and he'd be like, okay, so we're going to eat at like 11. And by the time he served, and 11 doesn't mean 11 in Latin America, it means 12. And so,
That's the tradition. You know what's happening in Brazil as well. So when you have a party and people say, what time is the party? It's 11 a.m. Okay, so anybody arrive to the lunch for 11 a.m. So you arrive in 1.
He was always late for everything. I got used to it. And 11 p.m. And then I was like, God, it's so late. And then we'd eat dinner, wash up, and then he'd say, do you want to watch a film? And I'd be like, Bruno, it's
12 o'clock.
It's midnight on a Wednesday. And he'd be like, yeah. And so I'd be like, oh, fuck it. Come and then let's watch a film. And so because I'm freelance in my work, I kind of can start work whenever I want. And so a lot of people, and I mean, he was late even for Argentina. Let me just tell you, most Argentinians don't eat that late. They would eat probably between like 9 and 10 p.m. He ate even later. They might go to the pub afterwards. I'd go to an ice cream parlour near my street that was really popular, a bit like Messina here in Sydney, and I'd go there at 1 a.m. and it'd be full of during the week. So it is common to to go to like either the pub or an ice cream parlor after dinner at that time during the week, not on a Friday or Saturday. And then on a Friday or Saturday, that if you're going to go out, like out, they will start their night. They do not start their night before 1:30 in the morning. They do not set foot into a club before 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was. This was in Brazil as well, a long time ago.
And then like the posters all say 11:59, so they get the date right. Mm-hmm. And then sometimes the club isn't even open. Then I went once with my friend. He came to visit me from Sydney, and we went to this club called Club 69. It's a gay club, and I did say to him, look, it's not going to open till like gone midnight. And he was like, surely it'd be open by like between 12:30 and 1. And I'd be like, maybe. We got there and they were like, we're still like setting up. Can you just walk around the block and come back? And it was 12:40. So he was like, God, you weren't exaggerating for once, Gary. Anyway, they all go into a club at 1:30. The clubs close at 7 a.m. And then at 7 a.m. they all talk about which after club you're going to go to. And there were 2 big gay after clubs that opened at 7 a.m. every single Sunday. At 7 a.m. they open and they go till midday. And in the summer, I met a friend called Eugenia, and she was really wild, and we just bonded. I loved her energy. And I mean, Argentinians can party, and I think they can party harder than Brazilians, honestly.
Yeah, no, they are getting used to,
They're
like
crazy.
Yeah,
they just don't. And then so we would go to the after party till midday, and then we'd go to a pool party, which was like almost an hour away in the cab. That would be on Sunday, and then we'd be there sometimes till like Sunday night, and then sometimes we'd go to another party, that would go on till Monday morning. I mean, I couldn't do that every weekend, but I stopped working on Mondays. I started working Tuesday to Saturday, and because there was no point, because if you're not starting your night, no one. So when you walk in a club at 1:30, it's empty. No, like some people, the club is busy at 3 a.m. That's when the first show was at Club 69, and then the second show is like at 5, and so that's just how they live, right? And so everything's much later, and I don't know how they do it. I honestly don't know how they do it. And
it's just like, I think it's more about the behavior in the city. They get over it, but they get it growing this way for a long time.
It's their culture. Maybe they have a siesta.
Yeah.
Bruno wouldn't start work till 10. He'd roll out of bed at like 9:50 a.m, move his mouse around, make some mate, it was a later start. But I quite a few people I spoke to in Australia and the UK would be like, oh, I couldn't do that. Oh, I could not do that.
You can.
And I'm like, it's not that you couldn't, you just don't want to enough.
Yeah.
Why was I going there? I wasn't going there on holiday. I was going there to live. Yeah. And so what am I going to do? Implant my culture and go, you're doing it wrong. I'm going to implant my culture. I'm going to implant my cadence, my routine, no, I've gone here to live in a new and different way. I've gone here to pick up their culture and absorb and immerse myself in their culture. And so it was hard. There were times I fell asleep on the sofa waiting for a night out to start. And there were times I was just exhausted. But
what's the hardest thing to adapt to?
That
thing. That's you like
because that was
you changed the time for the AM to PM.
That was my social life. I am a freelance journalist, so I couldn't speak much Spanish. I'd done 6 months of a night school, so all I could say was "Quiero un margarita, por favor." That's all I could say before I went. And so I was learning Spanish at a Spanish school, and I was working on my own. I'd work on my own in the library all day, every day. So I'd be working on my own, and then I would spend every night on my own, because I was living on my own for the first time ever in my life, age 41. So I was on my own all week, and I really, really loved it, because I realized that I enjoy my own company more than I thought I would. Everyone told me, oh, you're such an extrovert, you'll really miss being around people. And I didn't really, because I guess, I don't know. I read more books, and I had more time, and and then I started making friends, and my Spanish got better, and I made friends. Being gay really helped, because I found my community really quickly, and it's there set up for you. Then I found the digital nomad community. Then I found the gay digital nomad community, and then I had loads of friends, and then of course I had a social life. Yeah. But still, in the week, I'm living on my own, I'm working on my own, and often I am not able to participate in the Spanish conversations that are happening at my gym class or whatever, you know, at first, like I would just be smiling and when I'm here, and have no idea what's going on.
Beautiful.
And so like I would, and so, you know, by the time it got to Saturday, it's really important to me to have some time where I'm just social and I'm going out. Even if my Spanish wasn't great, I could at least go to a club and dance and be around people and
to flirt. You don't need
meet
to
some men.
Yes.
You know,
do you reckon
do some salsa?
What's your common sentence in Spanish you always say to people, like in the beginning, like "ma, qué bueno," no? I'm saying that because when I was
Quiero un margarita. ¿O quieres un margarita?
Por favor, un nombre. No, why I'm saying that? Because when you used to learn another language, we have the same sentence sometimes. It's like when I was learning English, I was saying the same sentence sometimes. It's, oh, it's beautiful. Oh, amazing. Oh, nice. And then sometimes before saying bad stories to me, I'll say, oh, nice, beautiful. And then people mock me so much.
Totally. I had so many, and again, that was the times when I'm like, I am the butt of the joke. I am not the one who has the power in the room from telling the story, having the punchline, engaging in like really quick, witty repartee, blah, 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 blah. I'd done that. I'd been that person, I guess. You know, I'd done my best, and suddenly you're not that person. Suddenly you are the joke. And so it's very humbling. It's very humbling, and it was good for to shrink my ego a bit.
Yeah,
which probably, you know, some people would say needed to happen. And like also it's kind of like there would be times when it would be frustrating and stressful, of course
you want to say something you can't explain yourself, and then you have the language barrier that we foreigners we have here in English.
Or like when something bad happened, like I remember once the library were like, I'd gone away to get some lunch, come back, and they were like, you can't come in the library. And I said, oh, my stuff's upstairs, like in the locker. And they were like, no, it's not. You're not. There's no way that we'd have let you in with this ID. Your ID is wrong. I'd used my Australian ID card instead of my passport.
I know. You know, when I was taking my what's happening is all my IDs in Brazil expired, so I have to take another ones when I was there. So I'm not taking my passport to come on, mate. I'm not taking my passport to a nightclub in Brazil. It's not because I'm not. It's ridiculous because it's the paperwork you have to redone, and you have to set to the appointment. It's not just go to the post office. You have to take so many documents together, and you have to join this for doing a passport.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. And I was there, and I have this, and my ID expired. So I was taking my drive license here from Australia, and the guy said, "Well, you're Brazilian. You don't have a RG. It's like ID." And so I said, "Well, I do have, but it's expired." They said, "Oh, that's fine. You don't care." Like I said, okay. So it's
little things like that where it's just like one little thing can change your whole day. And I remember they wouldn't let me back in the library, and she was adamant, and but I was like, but someone this morning let me in on this ID, and she said, no, they didn't, you're lying, mentir. And I was like, why would I lie? My stuff's in the locker, here's the key. Still not interested, like I don't, and then the security guard came over, and he actually was great, and he was like, just take some deep breaths. He's saying this in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because I was getting...
Respira.
You know, respirar. I was just getting really worked up because had that have happened here, that would have been easily resolvable, and I'd have quickly laughed it off and been able to prove it. But my Spanish wasn't great, and then I felt really like I didn't belong there, and then you start to spiral a little bit and think, oh, maybe maybe it's the Falklands War and I'm British. You know, you start to have all these...
But believe me, I work in a hotel as well. So sometimes what I feel here in Australia, people... I so get you for safety here in Australia, so they don't check ID sometimes. So it's like when it comes to the reception, they say, "Can I have another key?" I say, "Yeah, I do. I need your ID." People laugh and say, "What? ID?" I say, "Yes. Imagine your privacy in a different room, so I need to check your ID if it's matching everything's there, and then I'll make it. Of course, I'll be happy to do another key." some people get offended because I said, look, this is so culture because it's so safety. You have to believe in me, like, but we from South America, we have to check IDs. You have to do this. You have to, because that is crime. And people, you're not facing that. Like it's fantastic here in Australia. That's why people don't want to go home. They want to stay here. But it's like the Australians never understand that. Like when you go in a different place and you have to check IDs and you have to check yourself and you go to the security and they feel like this is useless. Why? People know me. No, girl, I don't know you. So it's like...
There's two different types of Australians. There's the ones who've travelled out somewhere other than Bali, and there's the ones who haven't.
Agreed.
And like when you and I would say the same,
but it's true.
Well, until I'd gone to South America, there's only certain things that I understood about the world, and also your ignorance is totally forgivable because you haven't always had the means. I didn't have the means to do a gap year like a lot of people that had a bit more money than me growing up did. It's not my family. I had a great upbringing but there came a certain time when I had to work for my own money. There wasn't enough money for me to go off traveling around the world for a year. There was enough money for me to go off to university, but there wasn't enough for both. And so I did that. And so I never had that privilege that some like middle class or wealthy Western people do, where they go off for a year on a gap year when they're 18 or 19, and thank God, because I made enough mistakes when I was 41.
Of course, everybody does. So
I don't know I'd be alive if I did it for a year, amigo, 18 or 19.
Amigo, I'm here. So if you, I don't know, the podcast is be listening for many people from UK. Amigo, which means friend, okay? So, but if I've been here for 9 years, and sometimes I'm struggling with English. Sometimes I need to read something. I've been reading really well, speaking well, but I feel like improving things, but you're still learning. You're always learning.
Totally.
You now it comes with the ChatGPT, and then you write down essay or something. Then Chat say, "Let me correct it to you." The chat does a beautiful job, and you feel useless. It's like, oh my gosh, all my improvement is not nothing because the chat is right much better than me. So I think like now you need to stop comparing yourself. Be like, okay, I'm proud. Like, okay, I'm doing my best. And you being like in 40s in different country.
There's something really liberating about being in your 40s and doing something completely new and out of your comfort zone. Because I think some people get to their 40s and they think, I'm middle-aged now. I'm too old for that. I'm never going to say that in my life about anything. Like, that's just not who I am.
When I met you, I was in Perth before. So I was, and that point in 2022, I think when I met you, it was the point that I will never leave Perth because Perth was my dreamland. And then I came to Sydney. That trip, I decided to move to Sydney next year. Like in 2023, I said, look, I'm going to move to Sydney. And then people started to laugh at me. My friends, said, I encourage you to go, but I'll see in 1 year. So after beginning of 2024, I moved to Sydney, and now it's almost 2 years I'm in Sydney. And then I decided to move to Melbourne, in which I am going in 2 weeks' time. Exactly. 40. Yeah, I'm 40. And then I feel like sometimes I'm still discovering things. I don't know nothing. More I get to know things, more I don't know fucking nothing.
Totally. You're never too old to be adventurous and to be humbled and to be scared and confused and stressed. There were days in Buenos Aires when all it would take is one or two things to go wrong. They won't let me in the library. Someone's shortchanged me. I can't understand what's going on in the Spanish, and I haven't been able to make myself understood. I've got the wrong restaurant order because I ordered a completely different thing because my Spanish is so bad. And I'd go home, and it'd be the middle of the day, and I'd get under the covers and be like, "Today's done. I'm just going to read my Kindle." And I can with my job; it's privilege, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm going to have to work hard to make up that money for the rest of the time, but there are very rarely days that I do that in Australia, like unless I'm really hungover. There aren't days that get so stressful that I'm like, I just cannot deal with the world anymore. But it's so good for you to realize that you are way more resilient than you think you are. You are tough. I did not give up. I did not go home. There was a moment when I nearly did, because I broke my wrist. I broke my wrist. I fell off a mountain bike when I was mountain biking down a volcano in Peru.
Which is like a normal walking, isn't it? So nice. It's very light tourism to do, mainly in South America, which is,
Yeah, and I had barely been mountain biking.
Did you have insurance at that time?
Yeah, and they didn't pay.
Ah!
Yeah.
How come?
They got out of some because insurance is all a con. That's why.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, they thought I was going to need to pay $5,000 for bone resetting surgery because I fell off the mountain bike down the volcano. I fell off the volcano, it broke so badly that they thought that they would need to do surgery to reset the bone in my wrist. Okay. So I was literally limp wristed. Anyway, I went to Argentina. Argentina has a public health system. My friend came with me to help navigate the Spanish, and then I was put in a big white cast, and I'd go out at night to nightclubs, and I took 3 permanent marker pens with me, and I learned the Spanish for ¿Quieres firme mi yeso? Do you want to sign my cast? Yeah. And they'd sign it in Spanish, and then someone drew a dick, and it became like a
this in Brazil as well.
It became like a temporary piece of like street art in Spanish, and it helped me learn. It helped me to connect with people because it was some people would come up to me and be like, ¿Qué pasó? What's happened? And so it was great because it helped me. My Spanish got much better. I learned how to say I fell off my bike, and I learned to converse more. More people started talking to me. I'd go out and dance really funny with it because it was really stiff. And then it ended up being a bit of a blessing, although at the time it didn't feel like it felt really annoying. Mm-hmm. But I remember I broke my arm. I hate being cold, and I don't really spend the winter in any country. I'm in Australia for the summer and then the UK for their summer, and don't spend winter anywhere. Anyway, it was winter, it was cold, I'd broken my wrist, me and my situationships kind of split up. And just became friends. Then it all happened. Of course, it all happened like within 2 weeks, and then and then I had to re-sign my rent, and all the prices were going up the whole time because of the inflation. And that was the moment. That was probably about a year in, maybe, or like halfway through my year and a half time there, and that was the moment when I very nearly did leave. And I remember, and it was my friends that made me stay. My friends in Australia, I voice noted them on WhatsApp and was just like, I'm thinking of going. And then a couple of them were like, stay, like you're having a bad week. And I listened to my friends. They know me, and they know that I would have regretted that decision, and they were so right. And I needed to hear it. I just needed to hear it from someone else's mouth. And then when they said it, I was like, yeah, okay, fine. Dig deep and find that resilience that you have, but you haven't been able to find it this week. And I found it, and I stayed, and life got better. It does you have bad weeks, you have good weeks. The cast came off. I did physio. I went back to the gym. Yeah. My Spanish got better. I met new friends, and then
did you feel? So I'm catching you because it's coming many topics in my mind. I say I need to ask this. 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 It's true, guys. I'm trying to catch up. I understood everything, but I need to put more questions on that. So did you feel like Latin people nowadays? It's warmer, or you warm than like you think before, or just like a little bit more dramatic? Both, because we have the spice, like I put the spice on, yes, and then we like the intense, we like the passion, even the friendships. It's like if you get to know a Latino in few minutes, you are besties or you're enemies. There is no middle way. So did you feel like that, like when you were like a little bit like close to leave, and the people start to be like more like welcoming and be closing
totally.
To you?
The women at my women and men at my I went to a body combat class. They were so lovely and warm and welcoming to me. And when I'd share with them, or they could see that I'd broken my wrist or whatever, or when it was my birthday, they just flooded me with love and warmth, and invited me to their birthdays and their events, and I got to meet their friends. As far as dating's concerned,
why dating's concerned? Yes, I get it. I got the question on time. Yes.
Like there are definitely the warmth and the passion exists. It's a stereotype. Some stereotypes are there for a reason, and it's a stereotype, but there's truth in it. And I love that. It's one of the reasons I wanted to go there. I love the warmth of Latino culture, that the famed warmth and passion. I love. Mm-hmm. And ever since I was young, even like I used to listen to Gloria Estefan's music in English, and mainly English, but like I love the Latina and a bit of Spanish. And, you know, I've always been really drawn to that culture, even when it was just presented in a way that was sort of like quite westernized, like she did with her career. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then I've always loved that. And I love now I know what reggaeton is and cumbia, and, you know, and I didn't know what that was before. Now I know Lali and Tini and like these Argentinian singers. I had no idea who they were before. And I could go to a club and like, you know, dance with my hips with like men, you know, in gay clubs, and like, and I just really felt like I was becoming like Latino. Like I just felt like I was like so immersed in the country and the culture and the music, and I felt like it felt like home to me. Like felt like being British. The Queen was who we were supposed to look up to as our total like character icon, and she is stoic, or was stoic. Don't show any emotion, and even if you don't even hug your own kids, you know, and like our national motto is on all the mugs and tea towels. It says, keep calm and carry on. That is so British. Keep calm and carry on. Reserved, not emotional, not dramatic. And I am emotional and dramatic, it turns out.
Latino.
And I'm Latino. And so
give me the passport.
I have some Latino in me. And so I've learned to repress that by being British, because it's not seen as very palatable or tasteful in the UK, or it's seen as very cringeworthy to display those emotions in the UK unless you're really, really drunk. And so I have learned to like repress them. And I'm not a reserved person in any way, shape or form, but there's even more inhibitions that I was able to lose. And when I was there, I was able to stroke that side of my personality and my and those qualities. And so I was able to indulge that warmth, that passion, that drama. Having said that, when I was dating, like I somehow picked one of the only non-tactile Latino men to date, and so I was always asking for an abrazo from him, a hug. Aww. Yeah, and I'd have to tell him when he used to call himself autistic, jokingly, and so you know, it's not like everyone's like that, like, you know what I mean. And of course I was in Argentina and then Colombia, but I did also travel, like I said, to Peru. I went to Brazil a couple of times, and
before we start with
Mexico,
the Brazilian situation, do you think people in South America undervalue what they have?
Do I think they undervalue what they have?
Yeah. Like sometimes I grew up saying the American dream, okay? So American dream, the culture, all the stuff. But now, thank God, South America, and it's so on fire. Like everybody's watching what they have there. They bring into the pop culture, show, Super Bowl. So you see
Bad Bunny,
Shakira. So
Karol
Anita,
G.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's having a cultural moment right now, especially Medellin, like with Karol G and Maluma, duetting with Madonna. And of course, and then more broadly from Medellin, which is like a cultural hub at the moment, especially for digital nomads. Latin America and Spanish generally is having this cultural moment, which Gloria Estefan, I would argue, is one of the first to like start it. She did the crossover, you know, like she did a career in both languages. She paved the way for people like J-Lo and Christina Aguilera and Shakira to do this. She's written songs for Shakira, and so I idolize that woman, and I love that culture, and I love all those artists, and so I've always been really drawn. And I love Bad Bunny. Oh my god, love. So yeah, it's really having a cultural moment. So do they undervalue what they have? I think everyone, the grass is always greener for everyone. Like that's very human.
Yeah.
So you could perhaps grow up idolizing Australia or America. I think Australians undervalue what they have way more than Latinos and
which
Latinas.
way, for example?
They don't realize how spoilt they are here in terms of like the safety, the space, the like it's almost like
economical thing. Like they know, they say what's poverty to them, it's ridiculous, it's richness, like it's
a rich country, and like they've my flat has a gym and a pool in it. Like I never thought I'd live somewhere that had a gym and a pool as part of the flat. Like it's underneath our flat, and then so like that's insane, and that's just and then like some people in the building are like, oh, I don't go to that pool, it's not even an outdoor pool, and so they wait until it's like 30 degrees, and then just so spoiled and so privileged, and then like the public services, the medical system, the pools, the libraries, that like I don't think that they're not valued here, but I don't think until you go. When I was in Buenos Aires, it would be 38 degrees, sweltering, and there was like hardly anywhere to cool down properly. My aircon would conk out because too many people in the building were using it, and so I'd have to go in my bedroom because the one in the living room wasn't working. I'd have to stay in my bedroom. The public pool was like, there was one, and it didn't even have lengths to do lap swimming. It was just like a paddling pool for adults, and like it was okay, but like and it was really packed, and you'd have to do a medical to get in there. Like they'd have to check your armpits. It was really weird. And so like I think Australians undervalue what they have way more than, especially Argentina. I was saying to you before off the mic when we weren't recording, Argentinians are so proud. They're such proud people, and in fact sometimes some people say that they think that they're a little bit arrogant. They're very patriotic. They're very proud of their country, of their football team, of their culture, of their literature. You'll often hear it quoted that there's more bookshops per square meter in Buenos Aires than any other city in the world. They see themselves as very, very cultured and literary and refined. They see themselves as differentiated from the rest of South America. They have a very strong national spirit. They're incredibly resilient in terms of all of the presidents that they've gone through, the turmoil politically that they've gone through. They've gone through a military occupation where 30,000 people were disappeared, the desaparecidos, and by the military junta, and anyone that was sort of like a journalist or an intellectual or a left wing or a communist were disappeared, and they've never been found, and or stolen and brought up by military families. It's a really
in Brazil as well.
Right. Yeah, it's a dark period of history.
Yeah. They call ditadura.
And it also happened in other countries as well, I found out, like in other South American countries.
Yes, but what is really surprised me when people say they want a ditadura back, because when it's a ditadura, it was a law and order. Everything was straightforward. Everything was la la la. Guys, come on. So we gays, we never exist in ditadura because they kill us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they put us in jail and torture. So and people don't realize that when you see, I don't know if have you watched the new movie from Fernanda Montenegro? She won the Oscar.
Oh no,
no, she won the movie won the Oscar.
Ah, what's it called?
And between Ainda Estou Aqui, I'm Still Here.
Okay.
So it's a famous one. It's say about the ditadura. How was the ditadura? How people suddenly they says about you, they take you and kidnap you, and you're never back.
Right. And when was this?
It was in about 70s.
Yeah, similar. It's a similar time. Argentina was in the 80s. And then they're very proud of their activism. So they've got the Abuelas de la Plaza del Mayo, the grandmas of the Plaza del Mayo, who are activists that campaign to find their grandchildren who were stolen, and they use DNA, scientific DNA testing to prove that their grandchildren were stolen by military families. This is all still going on. They're still finding them today. And so that part of their dark chapter that they have emerged from, they're very proud of the activism and the resilience that they have survived this, and they're still proud of their country. They're still proud of their democracy, even. And like, you know, it's a country that has poverty and inflation and problems, and yet it has these incredible grandiose buildings. In Buenos Aires, it's got Patagonia with the incredible natural landscape and mountains, because I went traveling across Argentina with two friends, and we saw that part of it, which was just amazing. And so as a country, they're way more See, I only know what I observed as an outsider. So what I observed as an outsider was that they seemed really, really proud of their country without it feeling to exclude people that weren't Argentinian. So I felt proud of being in Argentina. I felt included in that. Whereas I think sometimes like the UK right now is going for a moment where it's making anyone that's not British feel not included in that patriotism. Okay. And I don't like that. I don't feel like that includes me, because that's not... if you're going to be patriotic, then immigration is a core part of your nation's story. And I say that as someone who is a white immigrant that's moved to other countries, been treated for free on other health systems in Argentina with my broken wrist and stuff. You know, I am that person. And so, but I only saw what I understood, and I'm sure, you know, racism exists in every country, and so there would have been a side to it that perhaps was a little bit more like jingoistic, whereby there was like nationalistic and like Argentina versus Argentinians only. But my experience, I didn't really see it or feel that. I felt like they're so proud of like everything from the drink mate to their history to their like to even like Eva Perón, and you know, she was quite divisive. There's actually another film about Eva Perón that's not a musical, and it's in Spanish, and going there you get to see the other side of like, and her best friend was gay, and in the film they showed some beautiful scenes between her and her best gay friend, which I had no idea about. And so and then also she was quite controversial in some ways, and so you get to learn what the other side of the story is. And yet they still claim her as this national, and she's a massive national icon over there, and they very much claim her as that. But there's division within the country over the opinions of her. But yeah, as a national character and national identity, they are I felt very much included in their national pride and identity. Yeah.
Yes. How many places have you visited in South America?
Okay.
So Peru. 3
cities in Peru. Okay. Lima, Cusco, and Arequipa.
Okay.
I trekked the Inca Trail to Machu Picchu, and we stayed in tents. Peru, Uruguay, Montevideo. Argentina. Does Mexico count? No, Central America.
No, Central America.
Okay.
Bye, Mexico.
And then Brazil twice, Sao Paulo and Rio.
So which one are you most like it in terms of Sao Paulo and Brazil?
Rio.
Yeah, why? They have some magic there, isn't it? You feel like you are in a bossa nova movie all the time.
Yeah.
And then the Ipanema girl is coming, walking between you, and then you feel like it's like the vibe of the city, and then you go to the beach and buy things, and you stay there, then you can stay whole day. And
there's the beach, which there isn't in Sao Paulo. Then there's a gay beach, so you can...
In Rio?
Yeah, in Rio.
Yeah, it's at Ipanema.
In Ipanema, yes. Between 7 and 8, you go.
Of course, everybody goes.
All the guys are there in their little trunks.
Yes.
And it's just beautiful because it's the mountains are next to the beach, and then the favelas sit on the mountains like these little Lego houses, and they're so colourful, and aesthetically it's just a stunning city. In fact, there are parts of it that look a bit like Sydney, but it's more beautiful than Sydney in parts. When we got to, I'd always wanted to go to Christ the Redeemer. I'm not religious at all. I'm agnostic.
But it's magic. It's a huge statue.
And I cried when I got there. I
was full, isn't
I
it?
burst into tears because I was just awed by the statue, the presence of it, and what it means to people. And even though that religion has not been very kind to us as gay people sometimes, I really felt like
it's a miracle. It's kind of a
none of that was in my mind when I was there. What was in my mind was like what this means to people, the good parts of religion, like love thy neighbor, and all of the wonderful works it does for charity, and all of the good things, and how meaningful it is to people, and the passion that it evokes in people. And I did not expect that to happen to me, but it's also just a feat of human wonder. It's one of the 7 wonders of the modern world. And it was the second I'd seen that year, because I'd seen Machu Picchu, and I just couldn't believe my luck that I was in these incredible places that I'd always thought about and dreamed of and seen in travel brochures, and it's as good as the travel brochure. When you get to the top of that mountain, Christ the Redeemer, the view, I've never seen a view that even comes close. And and then there's these little monkeys at the top of the mountain that were cheeky, and everything about it was, I just was overawed. And I had a bit of a tear. Sao Paulo, I was robbed when I was in Sao Paulo of my phone. And so I wasn't, like, that tainted my experience. I was there on commission. I was doing I was there to do a story, for a magazine about the biggest gay pride event in the world, and the biggest gay pride is Sao Paulo.
Yes.
And
you know the funny fact? This year, the biggest gay pride, you have 60% less advertisement and investors than the other years.
Why?
Don't know. We are asking that, like, why it happened this? Because the pink money is necessary, isn't it? But it's suddenly all the brands gone. It's, I don't know, it's about political. I don't know. It's about, they have resources, yes, but I don't know what's happening.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that event happened after the robbery and of my phone. I'd gone and bought a new one, but I was really, really hyper cautious. Yeah, of course, they're iPhones, so they're expensive, and so I just could have done without it. But like, I was hyper cautious, hyper vigilant. And
do you feel like stress, like the cortisol was so high, and you feel like, oh my gosh, every time, and like you feel like anxious, and I feel like something bad's gonna happen? Yeah, that's the feeling we feel sometimes when you go there. And we love our country, but the safety in our country is ridiculous, and you feel like you want to be there. You feel bad for people, and because we have the opportunity here outside, then overseas, that it's not the same when you're living there. But you feel like everybody has your own choice, like some people can choose and people not. But it's like, it's even for us here, the outside, it's a different kinds of worry. Like for me now, I'm 40s. I always think like I'm seeing my parents getting older, and my brothers, everybody, and I met since 31, and then I moved to here, and then now I feel like, okay, I'm getting older. I'm back. I'm gonna be back, or I'm gonna stay here. And so, how are we gonna be old here? And if I get so old and they don't remember anything else, so it's like this kind of dilemmas you have in the mind. Not just me, like many of my friends, they had in the 40s, 50s.
Any immigrant, you only get it when you do it. And
yes.
So,
do you have this as well or no?
I did until I went freelance.
Okay.
And so when I was working in an office for a charity, I had to be in that office all year except for the 4 weeks that I was allowed to have annual leave, like pretty much everyone, right? 4 or 5 weeks annual leave. And then I went freelance and worked for myself. And now I can work from anywhere in the world as a digital nomad. I was doing the digital nomad life. I was very much absorbed in the digital nomad community in both Buenos Aires and Medellin. And there are these people that it's a new way of working. You know, this was not a way of working that existed even 15 years ago. It's new. And so
even this,
yeah,
like even 5 years ago, many people are not doing this.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy how change.
And the community is there waiting to be discovered by people. And so when I went freelance, I was able to go back to the UK where my mum and my sister live. And at the time, my nan, and reconnect and spend like proper quality time rather than rushed, jet lagged, hungover, you know, like, which was just like the time that just never had any time to myself. It's way better now, and I'm very, very privileged to be able to do it. I don't know how long I'll be able to do it for with AI coming in and changing everything, budgets and everything. I don't know. Who knows? But what I do know is that, like, yeah, those preoccupations were like very front of my mind when I never expected. When I moved to Australia, I thought I would stay here for 2 years and then go home. Okay. I never thought I'd end up.
They stay 14
years, get the passport, have a joint mortgage. I never thought I'd do those things. I never planned. And yeah, and so, and like, I never planned to stay in Argentina for 18 months. And life is better when you don't stick to the mold when you're a bit more like malleable and flexible with your plans. And so I suit this life. I suit this digital nomad life and this freelance life. And so it does mean I get to spend time with my mum and my sister. Had I not have been able to do this, I would have been very conscious that mum is getting older and, you know, and other family members are getting older, and I would have probably thought very long and hard about, you know, whether I do go home. But when you get the passport, it changes your life because then you're like, okay, I can go and I can come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which is good. The good part is you don't feel like it's the same. It's a society. I know it's UK is very expensive country, but it's in the same way. It's still like a good country. You know, you don't have like the same economical problems like in South America you do have. Like it's a big change to us to come back and have a job in Brazil and surviving with that reais that you go to the supermarket and you. Okay, guys, how can you survive? It's your minimum wage. It's literally just for food, and have to live with your parents sometimes all the time because you don't earn enough. So you know, for going out and living by yourself, and so it's being really tough.
And that's happening more in the UK now, even and as a Western. Privileged rich country, you see people living at home with their parents longer and longer and longer than they ever did before because and house ownership, you know, used to be easier than it is now, and so like the next generation coming up, it's different. And so I'm just so grateful that I grew up when I did and was able to take advantage of these opportunities and to be in the world and have this opportunity to really grow like as a person. And it sounds really cliched.
No, it's
not.
To
really grow as a person, because when I come back to Australia after my travels, I was not the same person as when I left. I was the same person, but there was a shift, and so the core of who I am as a person was the same. It wasn't a transformation, but there was a slight shift, and I found it really, really hard to reintegrate here. And
in terms of a culture, in terms of like a gay culture.
Both.
Because it's different.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Sydney gay culture is a very specific thing in and of itself that you could do a whole podcast about, but and different from other gay cultures in many ways, but in some ways there are similarities that we all and challenges that we all share.
The body and the
body fascism,
this thing, how much you earn, how much you have your income,
sense of superiority, blah, like blah. Trying to compensate for the shame that you felt being gay. Yeah,
but for you guys, it's a little bit different when you from UK. The visa is a little bit better than us. So the first question is we Latinos have being asked like, what's your visa situation?
Yeah.
So this is really it's a shame for us because it seems like we're always about for the visa. It's not. So people fall in love. It's real. Some relationships. It's not all relationships ridiculous. But of course, you heard stories. Sometimes it's not good enough. Sometimes even these locals as well, like the Australians, they have a really toxic relationship. What should they do? We should stay, because you have visa, or you should get a better life. So it's complications. I think in both ways. you know?
Yeah, when I came back, I went through something called reverse culture shock, which I'd not heard of before my travels.
Yeah.
And I found out that it's a thing. I did an article on it for the Sydney Morning Herald and interviewed other people that had it. So reverse culture shock is like culture shock, but in reverse. So you're in a state of shock at being back in the familiar. Yeah. And so rather than the state of shock at the defamiliar, you come back and you're back in your comfort zone. And as you mentioned before, cortisol. I was living off cortisol. I lived off of cortisol, dopamine and adrenaline for 2.5 years. And every time I opened the door of my flat, they were the things that powered me through my day. And when I came back here, none of those things, I wasn't using any of those things in my brain. They were much more minimal. Flashes of dopamine, mini flashes of cortisol, and mini flashes of adrenaline, but not many. And so your brain does something weird, and it almost sort of like freezes, and I found it really hard to like unpack, reintegrate. Work. I found it really hard to
integrate to the minimal things. Basis. Even I think routine for you, because your routine is totally opposite now here.
Yeah, and I was going through my clothes and looking at them, and I was like, I wouldn't wear that. Like from in storage, the clothes that had been in storage, and I was like, I don't know why I bought that. It's not what I would wear now, and that I think is because the travel changes you. You attach certain emotions to the clothes. And it's almost like, how like people get PTSD when they've been through a really traumatic situation. It was almost like that, but good. So it was almost like my brain started to replaying lots of the moments from like just on like a kaleidoscope during the day without me. I wasn't even thinking about those things, and suddenly a scene would replay, and I wouldn't be in Sydney. I'd be in Colombia, or I'd be in Argentina, and it was really discombobulating, because I think that's what post-traumatic stress disorder does as well. They replay the traumatic situation, like it keeps replaying in their head, and they find it hard to move on from it. And so for me, I was getting that, but they were like not necessarily bad recollections that I was having. It was just all sorts of just like flashbacks.
Yeah,
and it was like my brain realized it was somewhere safe, and it decided for me that now was a good time to process and analyze and debrief.
Yes,
and
exactly.
And so it did, and without my permission. And so it started to do all those things that need to happen. You need to process what you've been through, and I'd not stopped, and I hadn't given myself really time to process everything. And so it was doing that. And so it was just time for me to slow down. I didn't work. I left my unpacking for 2 weeks. I lived out of the suitcase like I had been for 2.5 years. And it was all fine. No one cared. But I found it really confusing. And then the good thing with my job is I could then go out and do an article on that. I can interview people that have gone through it themselves, and I can interview a psychologist a travel psychologist that specializes in seeing people that have this. And then suddenly you just feel less alone, and you're like, this is a process. And so you're just going through it now. And once I'd done that, I was on my way.
Yes, exactly. So now we're going to the chapter they call Open or Closed Fan. So it's the segment to say because the presenter is gay. So you put some culture in here. So if you open the fan, it means you're good in that. If you close the fan, you're not good in that.
Okay. Where's the fan?
Okay. Will, put the fan here, my editor. Bang. Okay. Okay.
I should have bought one. I've got some at home.
I do have many here. So, Carnival, do you open it or close the fan?
Close, because I've never been.
How
Do you
dare
mean Brazil? Carnival?
Yeah, there is many kinds of carnival, but it's in Brazil mainly.
Never been so close. Do I give you just short answers to these ones?
Yeah,
This concise.
It can be short, it can be long. You can explain yourself.
It's a short one.
Okay, Latin dating culture.
Half open.
Half open. Why?
Because dating culture anywhere in the world right now in 2026 is hard.
Hard? Why hard?
Because apps, mate, we're more connected than we've ever been on apps, which is ironically made us feel more disconnected than we've ever been.
Exactly. You know, I left Grindr for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
And
you're happier, right, when you leave Grindr?
Much better.
Same.
I'm much better. Sorry, guys, to say that, but I hook up more. I met more people. I kiss more. I flirt. I went out. I start to chatting better. I set boundaries, and believe it or not, happier now.
Same.
So I left the Grindr because one day I was feeling like dopamine is so high, and talking to people looks like treating people like you being in South America, they have like the chicken, roasting chicken, throwing like it's like a gate, and then put many roasted chicken and rolling like that. So I was feeling like that we are treating ourselves like a roasted chicken. So I feel like, okay, many options, but whatever, even including me, because I'm not the golden rosemary, so it's like exactly the same. So I feel like I needed a break. So I start to slowly 1 week, 2 weeks off, 3 weeks.
I did the same.
1 month, and I feel like yes, I can do it. 3 months, 5 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
And then suddenly one day I was horny. I say, let's stay again. Feel like how was it, and then how is going, and then after 10 minutes. I saw the guy, then chat, open the fucking album, and then I saw a hand in an appropriate place, and I was like, why? I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for the fucking album.
Unsolicited, yeah.
Yes, why, mate? So I just...
Nothing's left to the imagination anymore.
Yes, no.
And so,
you see
there's
everything,
no surprise,
blah,
and
blah,
it's
blah.
just we're outsourcing everything to the algorithm, but and to apps. But there's two things I want to say. Number one is, I think that happiness is all about expectation.
Yeah.
And if you have Grindr on your phone or another similar app, the expectation is that you will be able to meet someone whenever you can, whenever you want, at any point of the day, and any time that you have downtime in your day, in a queue or in a time when it's downtime and it's boring. You're on it, and sometimes with no intention of meeting anyone. I've done it. I've been a time waster, and sometimes when you actually do want to meet someone, and then they waste your time, and actually the whole time that's on your phone, it's creating a expectation that you are able to meet up with a man anytime, day or night.
Prince.
Yeah,
yeah. Doesn't
I would have settled for a pauper.
Fuck off.
Anyway, delete it from your phone. And what happened with me when I did that is that, like, right, you can't do that now unless you go out and you work. You find parts of your personality that you flirt. You find the courage to talk to someone. It doesn't always go well, but like you need.
Sometimes people are playing. They saying like, "Oh, I like you, but with my friends."
Yeah, or my boyfriend, and even worse. And so so that was so. I totally agree with you. Like, get it off your phone, and you will find yourself suddenly like focusing more on the things that are important in your day. And then when the weekend comes around, you can go out and try and meet someone, and old fashioned way of. For me, that some people might not enjoy that, and they might prefer the apps, but for me, I'm the same as you.
I understand, and I feel our mental health is great.
Yeah, I agree. And with Latino dating culture, when you're in Colombia, they say do not have Tinder or Grindr on your phone or Hinge, because people will meet up and then I've heard lots of stories of people being held up, robbed. 2 people turn up at your door, hold you down, rob you, leave. So the advice when we were in Colombia was like, never, ever, ever go on Grindr and meet up with someone from Grindr. If you do have to, don't, but like do it in a public place. And even then, cover your drink, or they give you little lids so that they can't spike your drink. Yeah. They have a drug over there called Devil's Breath, where they can get you to do whatever they want, and rinse your bank account. So many stories. And so I was part
This
of
is happening with me in Barcelona.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah.
So it's not just South America,
You
right?
see, I'm South America. I'm a Latino, and my friend was seeing a guy, not seeing a guy, but was flirting, and I said, yes, this is the guy. Go, go, go. My friend is very picky to get to know someone, and so I pushed my friend to this guy. He's very cute, by the way. And then he was there seeing the guy, kissing the guy in the middle of the club, and I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get a drink. The time I wasn't get a drink, when I come back, I didn't remember anything.
Wow.
I just woke up in a square, vomit, shit on my pants, and no phone, and no money in my bank account, and luckily I just remember the hotel Paris, and Hotel Paris, and
you think someone put something in your drink?
Yeah,
And
from the bar.
Do you have any idea who it might have been?
No, I
God.
don't remember one thing.
It's just so scary, and then they're the stories that make people think, well, I'll just stay in and go on Grindr because no one can spike my drink in my house. So there's always an element of like being aware of your safety, especially
100%.
like whether you're on the apps or in the real world. And in Colombia that goes up several notches, more so even than Buenos Aires. In Buenos Aires was relatively safe, like you'd get pickpockets and stuff, but like and it's not safe, but like, you know, there's still stuff that happens, and still stories. The stories were rife in Medellin, and there's a red light district in Medellin that's quite toxic and testosterone fueled, and I didn't like it at all. And that's right where the gay village is. And so and I walking in Medellin in the streets, I wouldn't feel that safe. And so you take taxis even for very, very short distances. Whereas Buenos Aires was different. But then, you know, I still got stuff stolen from me in Buenos Aires, but it was more pickpocket. Never like in
aggressive.
There was an aggression that sat just below the surface in Medellin that was like quite spicy. And dating, just don't go on the apps when you're there, is the advice. And so you've got the advice for gay men was like, if you want to hook up, go to the sauna.
Is a bit safe way. Yeah, I do this. Sorry, guys. That's the thing. I feel like even here, I don't know people. I'm alone. So all my backgrounds in Brazil, the other part of my friends, they are in Perth. So it's like, you know, like I don't know either. So I'm moving to Melbourne. I get to know some people, but you know, it's my own life. I'm a grown man for 40 years old, so I have to be responsible for my choice. So you have to be careful. So I live with my friend. She's women here, and I never brought anybody here in home. Like if I want to go, I go outside and do a sauna or something else, and done. I go home. So that is, it's getting dangerous, honestly. But anyway, so tourists romanticizing poverty. Do you open or close the fan?
Tourists romanticizing poverty, close the fan. I hate that.
Yeah.
So when we were in Brazil, me and my friend, we were deciding whether to go to a favela on a tour. And so I was like, is this romanticizing poverty? Are we fetishizing it by doing the tour? And we grappled for several days whether we go or not to the began with an R in Rio.
Yeah, it's no, it's there are many, unfortunately.
So anyway, yes, it was one of the big favelas, and there wasn't much out there. I was Googling to I was looking for somewhere to take me through the ethics of both sides and like, how can I come to this decision? You know, how can I make an informed decision? So I ended up writing a piece for the travel section of the Sydney Morning Herald and The Age. Is it the headline of the piece is it ever ethical to tour a slum? And the answer is yes, because when we did this tour, it was run by a local. The local showed us his house, lived in the
Rocinha is the place.
Rocinha.
Yeah, it's the
Rocinha,
it's
in
the,
Rio.
Yeah, the famous.
And he lived there, and he
Madureira as well. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and then he showed us his house, and he got money directly from. So the tour guide gets money, and the tour company gets money, and it helps people. You're literally helping them, and he was proud of his way of life, and he wanted to show it, you know, to us, and so it felt right, you know. Whereas, like, I think there are some influencers that might wander in. unaided into a favela, like without being on a tour, that are romanticized. I don't like the way that some influencers romanticize poverty in that way. I think there's a way of reporting those things, and it needs to be like inclusive of the locals that don't feel exploited, and if you're making money, then you should be giving some of it to them. So we tipped him at the end of the tour to make sure that he actually did get some money as well, because who knows, the tour company said
the company pays nothing.
The company said that he got money, but we didn't know, and so we tipped him, and and it was great, and so I don't feel like we were romanticizing poverty by doing that. I feel like we were tourism isn't just about seeing the polished, sanitized version of a city. You want to see the ugly bits that don't work and aren't great as well. Like, and but you want to do that in a way that doesn't feel disrespectful.
Of course. So we are going to the other segment, the other chapter they call Tea with Shade, which is the true things about some places or the topic we're talking. So what the influencers fake about traveling in South America? What do you think about it? Like sometimes people, as you said, people go to favelas or go to the community, say, guys, this is so amazing. You guys should come here, blah, 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 the environment. Do you think that you already answered this a little bit earlier?
Yeah.
They say that it shouldn't be there. They shouldn't say this is normal, because it's kind of you are inside the system and say, hey, it's good to go when you get poor,
It's just really trite when an influencer talks about people living in poverty being inspirational. They're not anyone's inspiration. Like, they don't want to be poor. People want to live a life of comfort, and so that's just really gross when people do that.
Do you think it's like some foreigners exoticize South America so much?
Exoticize, like make it feel exotic.
Yeah, it's like I'm going to South America because of I'm gonna hook up with many women, or I'm going to South America because I'm gonna get many men there and turn on the grinder and.
Yes, they do, but then it happens the other way around too.
Exactly. We love gringos, but I don't know if we love gringos because it's okay. We're gonna meet, and there is lots of parts. This I analyze nowadays. It's like, okay, it's Hollywood. You get to know your prince. You take you from the poverty and take you away from that. Two, sometimes we think like people from overseas, they have a different kind of beauty, and then you feel like, oh, that's different, they're hot, la 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 la. But sometimes it's just normal in their countries, it's just the standards. Three, sometimes it's people don't want to have any more kind of relationship, or just like be there and then just like, okay, I want to have a relationship, I have a not how to say an engagement, but it's commitment with you, and so I want to be here, but I don't want to have a. Thank you so much. Next, so
yes, people do exoticize South America. I think I did it because it did feel exotic to me, and I was drawn to that feeling of exoticism, and parts of it are exotic because. Like, for example, like urban exotic, you know what I mean? Like urban exotic. So like, I'll give you an example. In Buenos Aires, there was this club night called Durex, and it was they love techno in Buenos Aires. They love migraine-inducing, lyric-free, loud techno. And they go off to it as if it's like Berlin. And so I walked into this club. Someone said, come to Juro. That's what they call Durex. And I walked in. It was... Of course, 1:45 in the morning. There's hardly anyone in there, and then in the next hour, people started to come in, and I just immediately just went like covered my ears. It was so loud, and I did the same in Rio. The music was so loud, I had to get bits of tissue and shove them in my ears, and so that was like really like an assault on my senses. And then in this club in Buenos Aires, they had they called it the tunnel. And so they've got the club on one level, and then down in the basement, it was like dripping, like it was like being in the basement of in a railway or something. this like dripping brickwork tunnel, dark, some light, and in the tunnel is where like everyone can like indulge their pleasures, their bodily pleasures with each other. Yeah. And so it was quite raunchy down there, right? And so what I saw down there that is not, and this was mainly, it wasn't strictly gay club, but it was mainly gay people that went to it. Men and women were in that dark room and were engaging with each other sexually in that dark room. And that does not, if you go to like dark rooms in other clubs, like in the world, Sydney doesn't have them.
You do have one now.
Oh, a trough?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But
I heard about this. I haven't been. I heard. No, it's true. It's like my friend Anderson, Kisses Anderson. He said no. Actually, it wasn't Anderson. It was Sergio. Sergio said this for me. Like, oh, there is a new party here now, and people. It's a nightclub, and then you have another ground floor, and then you have another ground floor. So
yes, I have been. Do
you like it?
Yeah.
Was good.
Yeah, it was good. But yes, it was good. But like other cities have like 5 or 10 of these or they have them in every gay club.
Like in Berlin.
It's just every corner. Berlin and Buenos Aires had a lot of them, and not every city, but like it's fun. Yeah, it's really fun. And it's safe, a bit safer because you don't have to go to their house, you don't have to leave the club. You're in the safety of the club with the staff of the club. So like, it feels safer. And so down in this dark room, there were men and women, and there were all sorts of things going on. And it gave you permission to explore that side of yourself that you don't explore just in a straight down the line gay club in Sydney. Mm-hmm. So there were, women and men, and you push your boundaries. You push yourself to do things that you wouldn't otherwise do. And it was fun. And it was exotic because it was like, I didn't realize this part of myself existed.
Yeah, that's good. It's a new you.
Kind of. I mean, I'm still very gay.
Well, of course, no, but I don't say you're straight. But I say like it's a new part of you that you like to explore, Like try new things. Well, probably, for example, 10 years time, I didn't like saunas and all this stuff. I feel like, oh no, what's happened? And people going there, blah, blah. But now I feel like, oh, it's much better than bring it home. And if I, it's much better than I waste my time in an app, or much better than, I don't know, in the saunas, they occupied with condoms and lube and everything. It's clean. So it's, you bring it to your home. Yeah. So if you want just some, quick. It's
part of our culture as gay people, and it's not every gay person does it, but like it exists, in a lot of cities, and it's become more out in the open in recent years. It used to be a bit taboo to even say that you went to one.
Yeah, I know. When I used to say people look at me like,
I know, isn't it crazy? And now it's like,
you perv.
But now we have like heated rivalry where you're seeing like quite more graphic sex scenes on a mainstream TV show. Have you seen it? Yeah. And so like women are going crazy for it. And so like, it's just, shock horror, people have sex. Like, and I feel other cities are a bit more grown up about it than Sydney is. Yeah. In many ways, trough didn't exist until recently. And, I feel Sydney's a bit buttoned up sometimes, very reserved. They like to police these things quite a lot.
Do you think it's about status?
Yes, okay. I do.
Yeah. So you feel
and reputation.
Reputation. What people think about me. I don't care. People don't fucking care about you.
Totally. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Stop it. I've been many places here in Sydney in 2 years. Many nightclubs. All the nightclubs you can imagine. Another club. And you haven't seen the meme.
Another club. No sleep.
Another club.
No sleep. No sleep.
Another club. The only one I haven't been is the Morning Glory. But I think
it's on next Sunday if you want to go.
Should I? And finish like my... Yeah, probably.
It closes at 10 a.m.
Yes, Anderson, we're going to Morning Glory. Anyway, so... But I've been to Palms, which I love because people talking, and I feel like
it's a bit more friendly.
Yeah, then people talk and discovery and
Yeah.
sharing, which I love at that.
Yeah.
And then I found a job in Palms, not working in Palms, but I met someone and interview, like kind of take my resume to an agency, so I found a job. So just like meeting people, going out. So it's just the powerful thing to going out instead of in the app.
Yeah.
So, but basically, when I came like in 2022, the strongest nightclub was Deja Vu in that time, which is now closed. And then I Remember House is taking the Saturdays, which I love. I Remember House, I think, is very inclusive. Deja Vu, it's great. Reminds me the week in Brazil when I was like years before the COVID. And then after somehow we went to Universal. Universal is a great place. Colombia now is getting stronger, which is Arc was open. Arc is closed.
It's
now.
going gay again.
Colombia is going good now.
Arc is going to be gay again.
Really?
It's coming back.
Really?
Yeah, so it went straight to Aurora nightclub.
Yeah.
Aurora is closing and Arc is reopening as gay.
Okay, which is great.
Next weekend. Yeah, it's from next weekend. It's going to be gay the whole time again. I know.
Yeah, excited.
Yeah.
So I feel like.
Have you been to Flash?
No.
That's at the King's Cross Hotel. Yeah, it's really good. There's no dark room, but it is good. Just put dark rooms in. Oh my god.
Just
what is wrong? Grow up. Just grow.
Nasty, you know?
Yeah.
Come on, boy.
Grow up. We're all adults here.
You show your dicks and asses. Come on.
The security get really like angsty when two people go in the cubicle at the same time, and I'm like, put a dark room in, and you'll reduce that by 50%.
Yes, come on.
They won't need to go in. Just grow up.
Yeah, people said like Deja Vu was getting super strict for somehow. People start to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I heard this is the gossip. So anyway.
Yeah.
So
I was the gossip. That was me.
Okay, so come back to the topic. What did South America teach you personally? Just to like, if you go like advise someone to let's go to South America, but you need to know about this. What do you recommend to people?
Well, each country is different.
Yeah, of course. But can you join some particular like advice to them, like you say, go more friendly, be open, or
let go of your routine and what you like to do in your day, every day, in your everyday life. Mm-hmm. Let go of that. Surrender to their routines and surrender to their time zone and like the times that they do things. Don't say I don't want to do that and I couldn't do that. You know, why do you travel? Do you travel to be in and it's totally fine if some people want to travel to be in their comfort zone. I know a lot of people that live in rainy, grey, cold UK that's terrible weather all year, except for like maybe 1 month, or maybe 1 or 2 months. Then they travel, a lot of people who live in that weather, which I don't anymore, haven't for a long time, want comfort when they travel. They want sun because they don't get any. They want beaches because they don't get the opportunity to be on them, and they want to relax because they're in stressful jobs, and they want to have time out. And I totally get that. I've been that person. But since I moved to Australia, I'm not that person anymore because that is my life now. Yeah. We can go to the beach 8 months of the year. It's beautiful, blue, sunny. I mean, this week's been really, really rainy. People think cities like that all year round. It's not. But like most of the time, more often than not, it's beautiful. And with my job, if it's a sunny day, I can go to the beach and do the work on the less sunny days, right? And so what I want from travel is change. So if someone was going to South America, you're not going there necessarily to relax. Some people might like buy a really expensive hotel that's gated off with like a pool, and great, fantastic. But like, I think it goes back to ask yourself why you travel. Is it to relax and be in a comfort zone? And if so, that's great. South America might not be for you, but go to Bali. But like if you're nothing wrong with Bali. I'm just like joking. But like go somewhere that's catered to that kind of like all inclusive, yeah, like sunny pool in, you know, and wherever it floats your boat and you find your comfort. But for me, it was like I asked myself constantly, why do you travel? And it was to get out of my comfort zone. It was for the defamiliar. It was to do things that were uncomfortable and that were sometimes painful and sometimes stressful. You know, not all the time, because there's only so much stress. It's only so much cortisol you can live off of. But like the payoff is like you just grow and learn so much more. Well, I did.
Empathy as well. I think it would be good. All right, it is coming in the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for you guys watching me. Thank you for waiting for 1.5 hours with us here, talking so many different subjects, and then suddenly you come back for the culture and come back here, come back there, and talk about Sydney, which I love it. Thank you so much, Gary, to come and give you this opportunity to get to know better. And if you have more experience in travel worldwide, please come back here because I want to hear this, and we want to hear. And thank you so much, the QR code for following Gary on the social medias and the screen, and also please buy his book. His book is good. Look, please, we need to incentive people to read again. People not reading anymore, including me, which I'm reading more like a script just to record of things, ideas, and now and this week I'm coming back to a big book, like book, like open page, holding the page. That is not analogic method again, because
old school.
Yeah, old school.
Go back to basics.
Yes, because I was reading on the telephone, being like this, but it's going. They not make me tired, not make me like an imagination again what I'm reading. So I come back to the basics because I'm losing this. Could you imagine? I was reading in the Kindle and I wasn't imagining anymore things. I don't know if it's about the screen. I don't know if it's about... Maybe
there is something there for you. Yeah, I don't mind reading on the Kindle. Or the printed book. I prefer the Kindle because it's lighter and it has the light, and but you have to do what works for you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, thank you so much and see you later. Bye bye. Tchau.
Tchau.
PodHBE, produção, João, roteiro, João, filmagem, João, edição, João e Will, café consumido durante o processo, preocupante. Se você gostou desse episódio, compartilhe. Se não gostou, o setor de reclamação também é João. Até a próxima.